want to start with the help of Almighty God. So at this time, we'd like to open up in prayer with our brother, Zuri Muhammad.
Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, beneficent, merciful. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not from among the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has thee in this my commanding, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none can grant protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide me to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. Ameen.
Ameen.
Thank you, Brother Zuri. Now, I want to welcome everybody again to this episode of Project Separation, Building Our Promised Land. And I have to tell you, I'm really trying to contain myself because I have been just giddy all ever since we got confirmation from our special guest this evening. I've really hardly been able to contain myself. So I'm going to try to contain myself now as we go into our program this evening. And just to give you an overview of the program, we're going to have the biographies or the short, brief bios of Brother Lewis and Mary Larry. And then we're going to show short presentations. And then we're going to go into this robust discussion that I know you're going to get so much value out of, because this is what we are talking about: separation. And I just want to preface this conversation tonight by stating how throughout the Bible and the Holy Quran, we're always taught that God has separated his people from the oppressors. He never said, get in amongst them, work it out, see if you can assimilate. He said, come out of her, my people, and he separated them. And in some instances, some people were taken out of one place or led out of a place. In other instances, they were led into other places. Some of those places was already populated. They didn't go out into the barren wilderness at all times. There were places that were populated. So these are some of the things that we want to present to you. For those who may not be familiar with the origins of this program, Project Separation, Building the Promised Land, I want to encourage you to go to our website, www.projectseparation.com, and you'll see how from 2018 to 2020, Student Minister Ava Muhammad, the national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as others, crisscrossed this country hosting a series of town hall meetings. Originally, it was called Should Blacks Consider Separation? And eventually it came to be known under the exhortation of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The question was then changed to Blacks. It was a statement: Blacks must consider separation. That means it's not a question anymore. That's taken off the table. We have to look at it. And so what we're talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about intentionally populating areas. Intentionally populating areas. That's a big part of separation, because there are things that you can do. You don't always have to go to some undeveloped place. You can overpopulate an area where you gain control over it. We see examples all over the place. All throughout the country, you can go to places and you find what? Chinatown, Jamaica Hill, Little Italy, right? And when we go to these places, it's not even considered as racist. Nobody thinks of those places as racist. In fact, people take ownership of those areas. They know that that's their space, and they take ownership and pride. And it's like, well, you can come there, you can eat there, you can shop there, but you're not really going to live there. And you're certainly not going to set up your business there. And you're not going to be hired there. They're going to hire their own. And so we have to start taking on that same type of mindset. We can't let people make us feel like when we have an area, a separate state, a separate territory, now all of a sudden it's racist. But it's okay when it's everybody else. And as Minister Ava has always said on a lot of the project separation tours, the Mormons overpopulated Salt Lake City. They made it their own. They basically own it. It wasn't through revolution. It wasn't through anything like that. They kept on, as they crisscrossed the city looking for somewhere or the country, they came there and it's theirs. And if you spend any period of time there, you're going to start adapting to the ways of the Mormons in Salt Lake City, Utah. So we're going to be looking at the same thing. We can do that as well. And we are doing it. And that's what this building our promised land is all about, is to highlight people who are in the works of doing those things that are better for our people so that we can live a better life. So before I go into the introductions, I wanted to just end that part of the intro with this verse from the Bible. Amos chapter 3, verse 3. The question is asked, can two walk together except they be agreed? And so I pose the question, when did we agree to come to this country and serve anybody for 400 years? Followed by persecution that continues to this day. I don't think that there was an agreement there. I think that was a one-way decision, a unilateral sanction, if you will. So we want to start on that note. As we move into introducing our special guest tonight, oh my God, I'm so excited. I first would like to introduce you. I want to read the bio of Mayor Jason Larry Sr., who was, as you saw on the flyer, he was elected as Stonecrest, Georgia's first mayor on March 21st, 2017. And oh, I can't wait for us to get into the story of what went behind him. He wasn't just elected like in these regular elections that we see going on all the time. He was elected to a place that he basically started. So we're really excited about that. But before he became actively engaged in cityhood initiatives, he was a 2012 graduate of Leadership DeKalb, which is a prestigious organization, and it's set up to advance emerging leaders throughout the country. And it really helps these leaders to look at ways to improve the quality of life for DeKalb County citizens. And that's what we want, somebody who cares enough to do what's necessary to improve the lives of its citizenry, not to wreck the lives, but to improve the lives. So his cityhood experience includes serving as the founder and president of the Stonecrest City Alliance in 2013 and the chairman of Stonecrest Yes from 2015 to 2017. He was also a former healthcare executive working with multiple companies for 25 years. And he has a background in public-private partnerships with DeKalb County and the city of Lithonia, which is located right there by Stonecrest. I know that because I'm from Atlanta too. And because of that, local businesses have benefited from his leadership. And he's very much engaged in the arts, the cultural aspect, because you can't have a city and consider it a civilized city if you're also not considerate of the cultural aspects of that city. So he was awarded the Legends Award from the DeKalb History Center in 2013 for his contribution to the cultural arts industry. He's also an active commercial and residential real estate investor and a classic car enthusiast. He and his wife, whom he's been married to for more than 30 years, again, another critical component of governing a place is to have a stable family life. And they have two sons now who graduated from the school system there in DeKalb, and they're in college at this time. And he also is very active in his church, which is Union Missionary Baptist Church, where he serves as a deacon and chairman of the trustee board. And his wife is a deaconess. So they're worshiping together, they're working together, they're building together. That's what you call a power couple. That's a power couple right there. So Mayor Larry he's been universally recognized as the architect and founding father of the Stonecrest cityhood movement. And I just want to say this about that Mayor Larry, and this is something that he said on another program, and I love it ever since he said it. He said he is blackity black. He's a blackity black mayor. And I have echoed that ever since. And he went to an HBCU. So I love it. He is blackity black. And that's, If I'm talking about moving somewhere, I want to move somewhere where the mayor says, I am black, black, blackity, black, black, black. Because that shows that he has our interests at heart, first and foremost.
That's right.
Next, I'd like to talk to you about Brother Louis Ali. Now, he's no stranger to the Project Separation platform because he actually was among those who went on the inaugural town hall meetings. He spoke on some of the programs. And I'm going to read his bio, though it doesn't really speak to everything that he is doing. He's a local business owner. He's a community activist and a speaker. And most of all, he's dedicated himself to carrying the legacy of his grandfather, who is actually a slain civil rights activist, Lewis Allen Sr. of Liberty, Mississippi. So, that's our homework assignment. Let us go back and look up into that because he's carrying this torch. He attended Southern University before joining the Air Force in '87. And it was while he was stationed in Italy, he formed his first Black studies, and it was called Brothers Unblind. And after he left the forces, he joined the Nation of Islam in 1991. And then he returned to Italy, which I didn't know this, to write Black children's stories. So I didn't even know he was an author like that. He came back to his hometown, his home state of Louisiana, to start his business as well as move up in the ranks of the Nation of Islam. So he served as chief of protocol. He's been the captain over the men in the city of Baton Rouge. He's been the student assistant minister of their study group. He played a key role in organizing the presence of Baton Rouge at the Million Man March, the historic Million Man March in '95 in DC. So over the years, Brother Louis has held membership and leadership roles in numerous community organizations such as NAACP, in Cobra, and he currently serves as chairperson of the Hot Black Coffee Party think tank, Hot Black Coffee. And for 6 years, he's been the host of the Community Defender talk show that aired on Max 94.1 FM. And as a former talk show host and sought after speaker, he's also helped to galvanize community support for the Jena 6, if you remember the case of the Jena 6 down in Louisiana. He's been mentored by the likes of the late Baba Omari Obadeli and our beloved late mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, attorney Chokwe Lumumba. But he gives most credit and thanks to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the greatest influence in his life. So these two dynamic powerhouse speakers that we have tonight are going to be talking about from cityhood to statehood, which Mayor Larry will go further into what that means in his vision, as well as the significance of the rebirth and the importance of our Black business and cultural districts. And so myself and the co-moderator, Brother Cartier, are looking forward to engaging in this dialogue. But we first want to show you a brief video clip first of Mayor Larry from the city of Stonecrest, their YouTube channel, that just kind of gives you a taste of what's happening and some of the accomplishments he's had in that short time of being mayor. And then Brother Louis Ali, as he shows us some of the new Black Wall Street market, which we will talk about tonight as well. So this time we'll go into our video presentations and begin our dialogue with Brother Cartier.
City of Stonecrest.
It would be one of the largest cities in Georgia, 50,000 residents.
Stonecrest is like Dunwoody in this sense. It has them all. It has an economic heart.
Stonecrest is on the map now, on the map. The city of Stonecrest is a great place to live, work, play, worship, shop, and educate. Well, this is what happened. Every hotel filled, 100% capacity. Atlanta DeKalb County, $12 million in local spending here for Stonecrest. Make no mistake about it. We're gonna be the cultural mecca of the Southeast, period. It's Stonecrest, that's where we are, that's where we've been, and this is where we're going.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
When you think about Africa's glorious history and legacy in African textiles, you can't help but appreciate the beauty and the splendor of African textiles. So it inspired me to use them as a medium for my work. And of course, because a lot of people don't know about African textile designs, I spent a lot of time educating them. So it was a natural when we decided to open up the African Textile Museum.
Wow. And I mean, this is absolutely incredible. You're absolutely educating us here this afternoon, but this is in the new Black Wall Street market.
Yes,
and
it
I don't
is.
know if you realize it or not, but Georgia has become an inspiration, Stonecrest, for all Black people around the country who want to rebuild their Black business districts.
Well,
what does it mean to you to be in an area where there are over 100 Black businesses?
Well, I believe that Bill Allen has a vision that is so necessary and so needed and so timely. I have been an entrepreneur all of my life. I've always empowered young men and women that came through my showroom. And what this means to me is that we have an opportunity now to set the record straight, to show our value, our worth, to show our artistry, our history, our culture. And Mr. Allen has created this platform to allow us to give to the community and for them to come and be educated on the different things that Africa gave to the world.
Oh, that was beautiful, beautiful presentation. So a round of applause just for that right there. So at this time, we'll be turning it over to our brother Cartier Muhammad, who will begin us in this wonderful dialogue this evening.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How the family doing? I apologize if I got some background noise. I had some unexpected situation that caused me to have to stay here at work. But I just wanted to ask you, Brother Mayor Larry, just to start us off, how did you come up to the conclusion that unincorporated part of DeKalb County, which is now Stonecrest, how did you come up to the conclusion that it should be its own city, and what are some of the benefits of having your own municipal government?
So, as earlier mentioned, I was actually in a leadership class back in 2012 here in DeKalb County, and that class consisted of going around to different portions of the county, looking at how did they do business and how things were moving forward in their area. So one of the places that we visited during, they call it Government Day, was a new city. Yeah, I said, a new city. Where did these guys come from? And when you're a B student like I am, you have to study harder and study twice. And as I began to do my research, I watched how they carved off a certain area for themselves as majority folks. And the next thing you know, they had, formed their own committee so that they could incorporate a certain unincorporated area. And, Brother Cartier, I just thought to myself, why can't Black folks do this? Why can't we do this out where we are? And I make no secret about it, as they didn't either. They were all majority white startups. So they said that we live in one of the most prosperous African-American communities in the world. Well, I'm going to put that to the test and find out. So I started following different groups and following different people, and then created the Stonecrest City Alliance so that we could now incorporate to have the opportunity. So from there, sir, I just went from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood with a map I had developed down in the Capitol. And, over a several year period of time, I started to pick up some like thinkers that said, hey, let's try this ourselves. And from there, because we thought that, what if we had an opportunity to have our own economic development? What if we had an opportunity to have our own street paved? What if we had the opportunity to go out and compete for business? And that's how it started from there.
Yeah, praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. I'm sorry I didn't want, you couldn't hear me bearing witness because I had to mute my background. But I think that's key. I think that's key what you said, and I recall from the Elevated Places broadcast, you stated that before we can have economic power, we have to have political power because that's the way that this country is set up.
Exactly. So, from that statement, brother, it took years to walk the halls of that Capitol and get the folks that are powered to be, which is majority white and a few blacks, to give us our shot. And I don't know if you heard me mention this on the other show or not, but what I found out to be able to get the city created is that I had to prove to the majority that we didn't need your free tokens. We didn't need your discount lunches. We didn't need any handouts. The only thing we needed was the same opportunity you gave the white folks. And you're white and I'm black and I like being black. So they said, I finally wore them down, brother. They said, just put them on the ballot. And if the people, the state representatives and the Senate representatives, if it passes, great. Then you can go on the cityhood. If it doesn't, then we gave them their shot. And from there, the first time it failed. And they keep going back and back and back. And our own folks didn't want us to have independence. Wow. We're afraid. We're afraid of our own future. Some of us, not me. So
that's right. That's right. It's always the enchanters before you get to Pharaoh. You always got to deal with his handkerchief heads.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right.
But that's how you know you're in the right direction.
If you've never considered quitting something, it maybe wasn't hard enough to start with, because I just wanted to just stop. I had raised all the money. It took a study to be able to prove that we were economically viable, and the first one failed. That was a terrible blow. So I had to go back to the drawing board, reduce the size of the boundaries, and then take on some opportunity services that we felt that would, at least get our foot in the door. So once we were awarded the opportunity for the vote, and that's where it is, political prowess, folks, awarded the opportunity. How about that? Did us a favor so we can vote for our own stuff. We won passage with 57% saying yes, 44% of the people saying no. But in this country, the way it's set up, majority rules.
That's right.
So we won our rite of passage. And then from there, I evolved into the opportunity to run for mayor, because that wasn't really my initial initial goal. It was to get it off the ground and then do business. But the opportunity to continue to lead my vision and where we wanted to go came about, and that's how we came.
Wow, there's so much in that we want to pull out from Mayor Larry. But I want to ask you this question first. It's, give us a picture of Stonecrest. Tell us a little bit about the city of Stonecrest. And I ask that also because in some of our previous programs, we deal with land because land, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is the basis for freedom. When you have land, you can develop everything. So we've had people on in terms of dealing with the raw land, dealing with farmland,
Right.
dealing with building communities from the ground up. But now we're talking about something that is established, though it was unincorporated. So paint a picture of us. Paint a picture, if you will, of Stonecrest, please.
Sure. And this is where Brother Lewis and his family comes in, because there is a gentleman that Brother Lewis, I call him your uncle or your cousin, but he is he's the #1 Black entrepreneur on the planet as far as we're concerned here in Stonecrest, and we're a 31 square mile city with regards to its geography. And the three keys, sister, was the balance of being able to draw revenue from land. That's the big picture. So that means development with regards to residential housing, development with regards to the industrial park, and development regard to the commercial. So residential, industrial, commercial. That's the three mix that makes any place important enough to be able to do so. So we were fortunate enough, and still do, have land mass here in Stonecrest. So here in the county, we're the largest city land mass wise, and now population wise. So what Brother Lewis's relative did, he bought every available blade of grass that you could see in Stonecrest because people thought this place was just barren. We just couldn't make it. So back to the political portion of the landscaping is that being mayor, and I put together two key opportunities so that Mr. Allen could achieve his goals. And he'll, Brother Lewis tell you about New Black Wall Street, was the Development Authority and the Housing Authority. All land-based, sister, all land-based. And once you have the opportunity to have control of the land, it's lights out then. By the time the majority looks up in Central DeKalb and other places, they're like, oh my goodness, these people are a real city now. Now they're the 15th, 16th largest city in the state of Georgia. And their revenues are doubling by each year. So now it's too late. Now we're too big to fail. But it took, like I mentioned to you, and like you asked, it took land availability, people with prowess and money, and the opportunity to connect between the mayor's office or the city of Stonecrest and independent business persons like Mr. Allen.
And I read, and we're going to go over to Brother Lewis, because that was a great segue. But I know when I was reading, because I've been reading a lot about Stonecrest, and I used to live, I'm from Atlanta, my family's there. And I know back in the day that area, which was over by Lithonia, we saw it as kind of rural back then. But as I've seen the videos and saw the development, it's amazing to me. And I saw in the demographics that the population is now close to 60,000 in Stonecrest. So we're not talking about some little small hamlet. I really want that to be, because I wanted to impress that upon our listeners. We're not talking about some little small hamlet, though there's nothing wrong with starting out in a small place, but we need to see the magnitude of what it is that you did and what you become mayor over, because there were existing businesses there as well, right? I believe. Right. And so over like about a 94% Black population on top of that. So we're talking about a mostly Black town. There's almost 60,000 people. And there are industries. There's some beautiful natural areas. I know that there's the mountains nearby. So it's scenic. I'm saying this so that people can go and visit Stonecrest and see it, because the goal, we're going to start some intentional movement to Stonecrest.
Absolutely.
When you leave here today, you need to look up some real estate.
That's right.
So I want us to go over, because that was a beautiful segue. And then you see in the background of Brother Lewis's screen there, the Black Wall Street movement and market. And he mentioned his cousin. So if you could just talk to us a little bit, Brother Lewis, because we know that one of your big platforms is the need to revitalize Black cultural businesses, cultural districts and businesses. Why is that? And why is that important to a community? Because we live in a lot of all Black neighborhoods, but as Minister Farrakhan has said, they're colonies because we don't control what's going on around. So if you could just speak into that.
And Sister Donna, thank you, Dr. Ava and Brother Cartier and your staff for allowing us to come on your platform to speak this afternoon. We really appreciate it. I was listening to Dr. Frances Quest Wellesley, and she said something that stuck with me. She said, self-respect is the foundation of justice. We need a movement that highlights our self-respect and our dignity and our desire to do something, produce something for ourselves. And this has really been the work of the minister as far as I can go back and join in the nation in 91. But now our mayor, Mayor Larry, wanted to have a practical application and an example really of what we've been talking about the whole time. And so my cousin, Bill Allen, whenever he would see us as young people, and whenever he would talk to us, he would always tell us, and he's got like a motto, ownership, ownership, ownership. And that's what he would say constantly, and lean in on us about being producers and being productive. And so what this movement has really done, it's brought the social activists, because Mayor Larry was doing social activism work also before he became mayor. The political activists, now he is the mayor, and the economic activists all together. And it is to drive people toward a purpose for intentionally moving into a certain area, not with the idea of being lackadaisical, but with the idea of this is a free land where I am afforded the opportunity to do something for myself. So many of the people that's coming in to Stonecrest are coming now to study the motto of Stonecrest. How did he do it? How did he come up with the idea? How do you get the economic activists to sit in a room with the political and social activists to do something for ourselves? And this Stonecrest, it's the new Black Wall Street market, but it won't be the last one. Mayor Larry is going to be coming soon into Baton Rouge. And we're doing something not on the, I told you, Sister Donna, it's the, Georgia is my second choice for you. Louisiana, we're here building in Louisiana. And let me say this. We have the Kaaba in Mecca, which is the spiritual center for the Muslims. And they have in Rome, the capital of Christianity. Black people need something that they can circumvent around. The Black business district is what the community circumvents around. If you have production on an industry and a commercial zone where people can come together and spend their money. The beautiful thing about it is it's very important to understand that the new Black Wall Street market is not just some business. My cousin labeled it an economic ecosystem where businesses are sharing intelligence, sharing traffic count. He sends you through a customer service class, which in the nation, we just call it the proper handling of people. But the reality is all of us need a good debriefing on how we treat each other, Sister Donna.
Yes.
And it's not feasible
Right.
to have
Right.
businesses so far spread apart. We have to build, as we say in Louisiana, we have to build this beehive where all the busy bees of busy businesses are in close proximity to one another, and then they fly out back to their residential communities to get more nectar to bring it into the beehive to heal our community. And really, Dr. Ava, man, she's just been a superstar in terms of going around putting up the cultural collateral. In order for this to be a success, we need people who can't afford to put up the economics to put up the cultural and social collateral to help create a social environment to prove to the world that we can not only take care of ourselves, but we can treat each other right with dignity. Stonecrest is not known as a capital of murder. Black people are doing business, and when you come to the new Black Wall Street market, it's like the day after the Million Man March with the amount of peace and tranquility, because we're just happy to be with one another, actually, you know? And so I just want to open up there, Sister Donna, the importance of the political activists, the economic activists, and the social activists to be on the same page.
Thank you, Brother
Yes,
Cartier.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, well, first I want to give a shout out, Brother Mayor Larry, to one of your, I think she was a clerk. I was in Stonecrest week before last, and I stopped by City Hall, and I think you all were closed, but I spoke to a Leah Garcia. I don't know if you know. Okay, cool. Yeah, I spoke to a Leah Garcia. And I mean, this sister, and to what you were talking about, Brother Lewis, just with us having the desire to serve one another and treat one another, you know, the feeling that I got when I stopped, I was just surveying what was on the board at the front room of the door, because you all were closed that day. I think it was a Monday, and the City Hall was closed on Monday. But she came out and she asked, "Is there anything that I can help you with?" And I just told her I was visiting, and Miss Garcia, I mean, she literally, it's a sister. I think her name was Leah.
Leah Rodriguez.
Leah Rodriguez. Man, how did I mess that up? Okay. Leah Rodriguez.
You got the Leah part right.
I got the Leah part right, because that's how she introduced herself, by her first name. And she spent, I want to say, the better part of maybe about 10 to 15 minutes on the tablet, pulling up the map, explaining to me Stonecrest, some of the important sites. You could tell that she really took pride in not only living in the city, but she wanted me to experience the joy and pride she had of all of what Stonecrest had to offer. And I just thought that was really something to point out, because a lot of times, as you were saying, Sister Donna, we live in these colonies where we're not connected to them.
That's right.
And since we're not connected to them, we're not connected to each other, and we operate and act out in a type of way where that disconnect is felt, and you can almost smell it in the atmosphere when you get into the hood. The tension is so thick, you know where you are.
Yes,
but
right.
There was such a peaceful, sobering atmosphere in Stonecrest and at City Hall, and the time she took to kind of go over some of the benefits of living in the city and the attractions for the city. I said, if I ever get a chance to speak to you, Mayor Larry, I'll let you know that you got some phenomenal helpers down there in Stonecrest. But I wanted to ask this question, really directed to both of you. And I'll word it this way: when it comes to the implementation of intentional economic development and building an economic, or like you were saying, Brother Lewis, an ecosystem of economics in an area, how important is it that the entrepreneurs, the businessmen, the businesswomen, their vision is also in line with the political atmosphere there? And how can we start to kind of encourage that, so we're not working, against each other, where we're working more in conjunction, or working more in harmony with each other to produce a better quality of life?
I'll chime in, Brother Lewis, then you go from there. Three segments that we have in Stonecrest: corporate, large business, medium-sized business, small business, and the world makes up a majority of small business. But to your point with Miss Leah Rodriguez, I've known her for years. When I put my team together, I knew I had to have a person that was the frontline face of the city of Stonecrest at City Hall when folks came in, and you got exactly what I expected. And where we have a misconception that is that, it starts with how we treat each other.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
You go and shop with the Koreans, you go shop with the Chinese, you go spend your money with the Italians, and everybody's all hunky-dory and happy. And then when you go shop with Black folks, we got attitude. I don't think so. We're not going to foster that nonsense.
That's right.
And it has to start with face-to-face on how we treat each other. So I'm very glad to hear that feedback, Brother Cartier, because I'll be telling her tomorrow when I see her.
Yes, sir. Please let her know. Please let her know.
So now, as far as business and economic development is concerned, it goes back to what Sister Donna said at the start, is that land. Is that we had available land that we have in place to be able to build and grow. I'll give you a very specific example. So we caught the world's attention as a young city, the first year in business, and here's Amazon says they're going to move to find their location for the next world headquarters of 50,000 employees, and here we are, small city in Georgia, new city, a medium-sized city.
Yeah, not small. I was going to say not small.
Now a large city at 60,000. That put us over the top. And the state of Georgia would not allow me to participate in their bid to Amazon.
Wow.
So I said, you got the wrong Black man. So I just went to him direct. And I said, what do you offer the richest man in the history of rich, which is Jeff Bezos at the time? There's nobody on this planet 3 years ago that had made more money than Jeff Bezos. Now it's the Tesla guy. So I got to the right people and I said, look, here in Stonecrest, we can offer you something that no one else can. And they said, what could that be? We're going to carve off a piece of our city and call it Amazon, Georgia. We're going to create your own city inside a city. I'm going to help you manage the municipality part of it. I'm going to put you on the map, and we're going to have Jeff Bezos highway. It's going to be Amazon, Georgia. You're going to have your planes and everything fly in with the amount of land and space that we have. And next thing you know, I make CNN, CNBC, Fox, and we place in the top 10 for ideas. People were sending them trees. They were giving them gifts. But see, I was giving them something that no one else could offer, brothers and sisters. And that was legacy. His ability to say he had his own city, Amazon, Georgia. And people thought that kooky guy that started a new city is on to this now. Yes, I am. Because I had the land, I had the time, I had the energy, and I was able to and I knew how to create a city, so it wasn't a farce. They end up going to maybe White Plains, New York, or Queens, New York, or something like that, somewhere where they didn't want them. And but it started with corporate commerce. The reason I give you that story is that what happens now is that now medium-sized corporations are saying, where the devil is Stonecrest, Georgia? And they started coming to us by the pound, by the flock. And what we had was the ability. This is how we won the Home Depot International Distribution Center in a new black city, is that we have a railway that goes from Stonecrest to the Port of Savannah. And they built a 600,000 square feet warehouse in distributing products in our commercial area, you know, as they were deepening the support of Savannah. And remember when I said earlier, it took those three keys with commercial, industrial, and residential. This was industrial now. And now we have the big boy, big girl prowess of Home Depot moving products from Stonecrest to the Port of Savannah. Now people were taking us serious. In an all black town? Come on. So then I went out to Las Vegas and I visited an aquarium. So now we have Sequest. We have an aquarium in Stonecrest. Who puts an aquarium with live animals in a black neighborhood? I said, to your surprise, America, we like animals too. So now we have the Sequest Aquarium in Stonecrest, where the kids can come out and visit exotic zoo life and pet the wildlife and have all kind of different animals, you know, from across the world, right here in Stonecrest. Can you believe it? So I just said that to say, if they give us a shot and stay out of the way, we can do anything. I don't want to be around y'all if you don't want to be around me. I want to be around me and my folks. And I'm just having a great time doing it.
That's right.
That is excellent. That's what we want, because no other group of people does it seem strange that they want to be around other people than when we say it.
That's right.
When we say it, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
It's racism. You hate white people. It's a problem. But yet we see it every day, all the time.
Sure do.
In our neighborhoods, in our organizations. We have been segregated, but now we want to try separation. There is a distinction. There's a distinction. And what you're speaking of, Mayor Larry, is having the power to dictate things. And instead of people taking money out of the city, bringing that money into the city, because we've seen many instances of money's being taken out of our communities, or we're in a race to live among white people. And then when they're ready to go and take their things with them, their buildings with them, we're sitting there like, what do we do? What I wanted to talk about was, in a previous program also, and I've heard this mentioned before, yourself and Brother Louis Ali talked about taking models around to other areas, to different places. And then I also want us to address the move to statehood. Why do you think it's important to take models around to other areas? And how can you do that? What can you do to help other people? How do you think other cities will benefit? Because as we know, there are other cities with Black mayors. Not all of them are sizable, and they're not all the same. But there's something very different about Stonecrest, because this wasn't a city. And you made it a city. So you started right off with the leadership of Stonecrest. So again, why is it important to take it around? And then how can you help those, especially dotted all throughout Mississippi? There's like about 1,500 little townships where the towns are already majority Black. They have Black mayors, but they're small, they're struggling, they're impoverished. I don't know how deeply you've gone into Mississippi and into areas like Glendora, where if you didn't know any better, you would think that you were still in sharecropping times, like literally no running water, drinking out of barrels of water. It's as if time left them behind. And you can see some of that if you've ever watched the Cotton Picking Truth, the documentary Cotton Picking Truth. What could you take to mayors of that city, or why is it important to take this blueprint around? If I think I'm being clear.
Well, Brother Lewis, I'm going to pass that to Brother Lewis because that's where I'm following him.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if you noticed it or not, Sister Donna, but Mayor Lair has a more militant posture.
You mean the blackity black mayor? The blackity black mayor.
And so do I. But this is important because we are at war.
Yes.
And many of the people who are our Black politicians and so-called leaders, they don't understand that this is not football or basketball, where you can be on offense and then go over to defense and defense to offense. This is a fight where you have to have offense and defense at the same time.
Yes, sir.
That's really important. So if you only have a defense and you don't have an offense, they're going to take everything that you have. And so people in other cities, and this is important for those of us who are in media, we have to start highlighting the victories and showing that, yeah, we kicking butt over here in Stonecrest, and we can show you how to do it in Baton Rouge. We can show you how to do it in Mississippi, but we can show you how to do it in Chicago if we came there. But the Black man is going to have a militant posture and become a lot more territorial. Yes. See, when you start talking about wanting to take over land requires work, and that's the reason why I always say land literacy for all the land illiterates. Real estate requires work, which means that you're going to have to huddle up and get into think tanks and be laser focused on resurrecting your Black Wall Street, which means that you have to understand that we were already very successful and productive in the Black business and cultural districts. That's why I said, make historically Black business and cultural districts great again. White people were already coming to our business districts, and they began to plan, particularly in California at Berkeley and Stanford, on how could they stop the fastest growing economy in the world at that time. And I think it was the Secretary of Chambers, Secretary of State, Secretary of Chambers of Commerce, his name was St. Clair, that declared that the Black economy was the fastest growing economy in the world, and the white economy was dying because it was stale and because of racism, and many white children were going down to listen to jazz and bebop in the Black historical cultural districts. Well, how do we rebuild those now? We are the gods of culture. People love our culture. We have to make our communities safe and decent places to live, and then huddle up again and start letting people circumvent around us rather than chasing other people. When you go to other cities, we need a new so-called movement, not quite like the civil rights movement, but there are elements of the civil rights movement, and my grandfather was heavily involved in it, that you could use. Like, let me give you an example. The song "We Shall Overcome." We have a version of African insurrection music, but the song "We Shall Overcome" was written right there in Tennessee, Sister Donna. And that was a social school that taught people how to be social activists called the Highlander Group. That group down there in Tennessee is what trained civil rights activists, including Rosa Parks went there, Julian Bond went there, Robert Moses went there, but it was almost in secret, but they trained them and then dispatched them to go into Black communities like Liberty, Mississippi, where my grandfather is from, and began talking to them about how to make social and political change. Since we have a school down there, entrepreneur school in Stonecrest, Georgia, we could begin to, and we are going to do it, we're in the process of doing it right now, sending high school and college young people to learn entrepreneurial techniques and tactics to go back into their own community, make it a safe and decent place, and then rebuild their own Black business districts first. Now, here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, next to Southern University, we've already got started on a 51,000 square foot development where we're developing businesses so that college students will have an opportunity to have something decent in their community. In Jackson, Mississippi, Deion Sanders, shout out to Deion Sanders, I don't know him personally, but he's doing a lot to attract people back to these historically Black colleges. When you get around the Black business activists has to be involved. There's a Bill Allen in different parts, maybe not to that level, but in different parts of the country. We have to go to Black business people with a plan, with a militant Black identity politician. It can't be just somebody who wants some cheap money and do nothing, but he has to be blackity black, 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 black. That's the kind of politician we need. But guess what? We need a social activist who's blackity black, 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 because we have to reclaim our own now. And to be honest about it, I think this is the perfect time to do it. Once we get one motto up and we have a motto in Stonecrest, then since we don't have envy in our heart that's poisoning our unity, then we start to highlight, like you're doing and Dr. Ava's doing, Sister Donna, the victories that we have. And victory is contagious. And I say this and stop, I get passionate about it because one of the things that I love that Dr. Ava always says, and she says it a lot when we get off the phone, she says, we're the winners.
Yes.
We have to act like winners.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
and
right.
not be on defense, get on the offense, and let's get going, building up our own communities. And to be honest about it, with all the hell they've gave Mayor Larry, and they gave my cousin a lot of hell too, and look how good they look. We can win. It's time for us to win now, Sister Donna. And the Nation of Islam has an incredible, great network of people who are dedicated to making a change in the community. Think of how powerful it would be if we just showed them just a few techniques of the practicality and the invincible truth that they already have, and how much of a genius Elijah was, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, in terms of building a business infrastructure. Many of the young brothers and sisters that are involved in criminal activities, if they were given the opportunity, they wouldn't want to do crime, Sister Donna.
Right.
They really wouldn't, especially the young brothers. They would literally be willing to work to rebuild the wasted cities, but you got to make Black cool again. You got to make owning your own property hip, and we got to do it intentionally, which means that we can't do it on the defense where we just come out and we're Black during Black History Month, but the rest of the years we're running from our own identity and culture. That's all over with, Sister Donna.
Well, Sister
Wow,
Donna,
that was powerful.
to piggyback on Brother Lewis and to answer your question also, it is my responsibility that each one teach one.
Yes.
It's innate responsibility that I must do that. And wherever Brother Lewis knows, wherever he needs for me to go, that's where I'll be. Because, you know, we have to share the blueprint. We have to share what has happened. And to be, you know, aggressive about it, be deliberate about it, be intentional about it. And, you know, God rest his soul. My dad told me, scared man can't win. Can't win scared. Can't win scared.
That's true.
And that's how I was in the state house, trying to get, you know, the cityhood started. All the Black folks are scared. Oh, what are white folks going to think? Who cares what they think? Who cares what they think? It's enough of you to do something. And that, Sister Donna, when we bridge the mental aspect of cityhood to statehood. So instead of, if you don't mind me segmenting to that.
Oh, please.
My piece of statehood, let's use the Mississippi for an example. The numbers is going to make a difference in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean, and statehood doesn't have to mean take over the state of Mississippi or take over the state of Georgia. It's take over a territory larger than a city. And so what, just listening to you about, the state of Mississippi, they're going to have to combine their superpowers. All of those small mayors together are going to have to converge and get organized.
That's right.
And start, turning their black dollars over to their blackety black selves.
That's right.
Period. They've already proved it 100 times, with bus boycotts, and we have the economic prowess to make it happen.
That's right.
But they're, and I use the state of Mississippi as an example because their numbers will make a difference. Let me give you an example. Here in the state of Georgia, there's another sister here that had a cityhood movement. Her name was Dr. Catherine Rice. Her name is Dr. Catherine Rice. Mm-hmm. And she put together the largest opportunity for a new city in the history of cityhood of mankind, 300,000 people. Mm. And 90% are Black. And for years, she's been trying to incorporate that city. And she started with me in Stonecrest. And they block her, and they block her, and they block her every year. And the reason they do that is because the Negroes are scared. They're jealous. They see the power base going away. And this city would be only second to Atlanta in size. The reason I bring this point up in the correlation I make with Mississippi is that she doesn't have the balance of industrial and commercial and residential. Size is her prowess. Size is her economic development stick. Size is that sister's ability to be able to create the commerce that she needs.
That's right.
She can't get it done. She can't get it done. One of, very good friend of mine, I'd love for y'all to have her on your show one day. And she's been at this every year since 2012, 2013. So
I'll make sure to get her information from
you.
you.
What's her name again?
Dr. Catherine Rice.
Is she in DeKalb County too, or
say again, sir?
Is she in DeKalb County too? Or
she is also. She's in DeKalb County also. Very good friend of mine. And Harvard PhD. I mean, as smart as they come. I'm just a knuckle dragger. She this sister's the real deal.
And Brother Cartier is going to ask a question too, but I also wanted to say, which is really critical that you mentioned, it starts with a mindset.
That's exactly
Separation
right.
is a mindset first, because you do have, as we mentioned before, a lot of Black mayors in a lot of places, but what's the mindset? Now, we did do a Project Separation town hall down in Coldwater, Mississippi, which has a mostly Black population and the Black police chief and the Black mayor, and it was powerful. And in attendance was the mayor of Jonestown, Mississippi, who wanted the Project Separation Town Hall to come to his city next, but that was right before we went into lockdown for the pandemic. But down in Mississippi, you have Mound Bayou, they're 98% Black population. They literally have the claim of being the first city built by Black people. And so with all these numbers, I'm hearing that really sounds like a movement when we're talking about helping the mayors come together and consolidate those power bases, that mindset to bring it together. And really, it's right. We've had Patrick Alexander, who's in Mississippi, on one of our Project Town Hall meetings in Coldwater. He's in Coldwater turning it out and moving it. So it's really just a matter of time, because we see the statistics. They call it the Browning of America in 2030.
That's right.
There's already this natural coming into power, or coming into the population power. But as you said, we have to come into the mindset power now. too, because it doesn't matter if we have the numbers, if the mindset is still the same, then you're still ruled over by the few. So I wanted to turn this, Cartier, you had the next question that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight something that both of you said, Brother Mayor Larry. You mentioned on the elevated places call. Oh man, did we lose Brother Mayor?
No, I'm here.
Oh,
No,
I think okay. Something now. Okay, you mentioned on. I'm sorry. You mentioned on the elevated places call. You talked about the will and the political will, and how we end up losing because a lot of times we don't have the political will that whites have. And I just wanted to ask this question, as we go up, because what I'm beginning to see now is that our people are beginning to develop that political will.
That's right.
But that will, that's right. But the political will now that was manipulated, and we had it then back in the 60s during the civil rights movement, but it was manipulated in a direction that wasn't most successful, wasn't going to be most successful for us. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was asked, "You see any good in the civil rights movement?" in an interview, and he said, "Yeah, I see the good when it fails." And now we're at that phase now where we have seen, the failure of what, and it had nothing to do with hating another group, but it just was not in our best interest. It was not a sound economic, political, or social decision for us back then, and it's not today. And we're realizing that now. So how do we begin, Brother Mayor, I'm going to ask this one to you, and then Brother Lewis, I'm going to ask it to you. How do you begin? How do you see us starting to infect our people with the political will necessary to aggregate together and make that step towards self-government, either municipality, countywide, statewide, and then doing the same thing, which we're seeing a lot of now, Brother Lewis, economically, and our people being able now to have the will to buy and sell and do business with one another? How do we traject this forward at a more rapid rate? What are some things that we could do?
I'll start from the political standpoint. Brother Cartier, it is hand-to-hand combat.
That's right.
You got to grab those guys one person by the neck, one person at a time, and make them grab somebody else by the neck.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. We're, if you all don't mind me telling you, I'm almost 60 years old, so I don't have much time left. I tell them that all the time.
Oh, you got a lot of time.
Got time to be messing around with people. I gotta go get them, have a conversation with them, and drag them to the next place. And to be able to make that happen, the good part about it is that, as Brother Lewis has pointed out, we got a model now. I can go back and look at them and say, hey, look at what we've done here. Look at what is happening here. And who are you serving as a Black person? Are you serving yourself? Are you serving the people? And I don't want people to misjudge me on this, because some of my good friends are white folks. Matter of fact, how we got to where we are today is that I was able to get them to help me. Otherwise, we wouldn't be anywhere. Make no doubt about it. Even in the civil rights movement, good white folks died to be able to help us get to where we are today. And what I found, particularly being a child of the 60s and 70s here in Georgia, is that they want to help us. They want us out of their way. And I want to be out of their way. So when we talk about, with regards to, positive separation, they'll help you get to where you want to go. Take that, get the next Black person, and keep it moving from there. That's how I see the political will, moving in that spirit.
The social activism side of it, we have a right to do something for ourselves. It's important because Brother Zuri opened us up in prayer. And one of the things he said was, I've been greatly unjust to myself and confess my faults. It's our fault because the minister's been sounding an alarm that we accept subpar treatment and live in subpar standard housing and live the way we live. But now we got a way out. You know what's so interesting? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings were so powerful, it completely re-socially engineered how we thought of ourselves from being Negro to being Black. It completely changed our diet, and the brothers made money while changing the diet with the bean pie, the whiting fish, and all the programs that we have. But now we have an opportunity to really go on the offense with our program. And if we do, we will be very, very successful. We got to just go and do it. If we traveled around the country pushing do for self and rebuild the Black business districts with the same vigor and intentionality as some of the previous generation of civil rights activists who actually gave their life, I know within a short time we can completely change the culture in Black America and really the United States. If you just take a look at the time when Dr. Ava was traveling around the country and we were going around the country, the question, first we raised the question, how has integration affected Black businesses? And then should Blacks consider separation? And then Blacks must consider separation. And before you knew it, Black people over these last 2 years have bought more land and real estate during COVID than they had bought in the previous 40 years, and they're doing it intentionally. We have to highlight it. We have to begin to talk with each other. If we can't win politically, let's talk to each other economically. If we can't win economically, let's talk to each other socially on how we can build, like there may be a business down in Georgia that could be successful in Baton Rouge or another area that we have a Black business district in. How do we share the intelligence to bring those businesses? See, we got to go on the offense and think like winners. How can we bring a business from Stonecrest and put it in Baton Rouge so that they have a second location of something that's working in Stonecrest? What are the products that we have in Baton Rouge that we can ship over to Georgia? And think about this. I'm gonna say this and stop. The minister asked us to study that red book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, how Jews gain control of the Black American economy. Not so that we could call other people names and be real ugly. He wanted us to study what they done. The people who were really good with needles on the East Coast bought their cotton from people in Louisiana and Mississippi, Sister Donna. We got products in Baton Rouge that would work in Georgia and other places, and y'all have products. These are the type of mature conversations that our representatives and economic activists need to start having with one another. How can I relocate to Stonecrest if I want to relocate there with the intention of opening this business? That's the way you talk and court other businesses. We need to start courting each other the same way.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And now we'd like to hear from our student minister, Ava Muhammad, who is also the host of the Elevated Places Network platform and the national spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm not going to keep because I'm sitting here fascinated, listening to all of you, but particularly to Mayor Larry and Brother Louis, who are visionaries. And as I listen to these brothers, I think about what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to Minister Farrakhan. He said that his teacher, Master Farid Muhammad, told him there would never be a mass movement of Black people into the nation and to independence it would begin with a few who would build a model,
That's right.
and the rest of the people would come. And as I listen to this program, it almost brings me to tears. And I, you always have a light bulb go off when you're listening to wisdom. But with all of the years that I have studied point number 4 of what the Muslims want, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a separate state or territory of our own, Mayor Larry just gave me a definitive understanding of territory
Speak to Allah.
when he
Yes.
said
Yes.
an area larger than a city. You don't have to go in and take an entire state. You grow, and this is what Stonecrest is such a beautiful example of. I thought of my grandchildren in a place where we have our own aquariums. Okay, I love when you said, Brother Mayor, we like animals too. We love nature. We are the original people, so we do love nature. Okay. But that was all I wanted to say. Is I wanted to thank Sister Donna, Brother Cartier for organizing this program. We have to have many more of these. I mean, I got in my mind, we have to take a caravan of people to Stonecrest.
Yes.
And of course, I used to live I lived in Stone Mountain for about 10 years, and I had to come back to Chicago because of the work, of the nation headquarters. But I've had enough of Chicago and its cold weather and its ridiculous sales tax, etc. And I'm ready to come back down there. So look for me on the horizon.
All right.
This is beautiful because we're taught it's a process. And every phase of our development that we went through, from when the chattel slavery ended and our people walked off plantations, having no idea where they were going, but going to seek and find first and foremost their lost relatives. And then going through the period of the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, where we demonstrated our natural inclination to be independent, so much so that it incurred the hatred and envy of that was a regional. A lot of people don't realize that Tulsa was one of the regional offices for the Ku Klux Klan. And what happened there. And then, of course, we did not let that break us. We continued to fight for our freedom. We fought for our freedom during the civil rights struggle, where we weren't trying to integrate in the civil rights struggle. We were trying to overcome the debilitation of racism and Jim Crow. Where we had to walk. If you were walking on a sidewalk and a white person was coming in the opposite direction, you had to step off the sidewalk.
Right.
This is the type of living. And of course, the right to participate in America's political system, because as the mayor's pointing out, politics is critical, but we have to have that undergird of the economic base. So just listening to this is absolutely beautiful. And thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ava.
Thank
Very
you.
much so.
Thank you, Dr. Ava. This has been a very profound program. I can't believe how fast time went. We have like 11 minutes, but there's like hours left of things to be shared. So what I would like to do, though, as we prepare to move to the closing, I just wanted, if either one of you had some closing remarks, and then also, Brother Lewis, if you could just talk a little bit, because I didn't want us to gloss over it. When the new Black Wall Street opened, because there was a lot of publicity on it, I want you to talk about the thousands of people that came and what the atmosphere was like. And then you can each give us our closing comments and we'll move into our closing announcements.
It was tens of thousands of people that came out. And I know, like the Million Man March, the day before we really opened it up, we didn't know really what to expect. And so we had an idea that people would come, but it was just overwhelming. And again, one of the key things is the intentionality of Mr. Bill Allen, the intentionality of the mayor. I mean, this is intentional. This is not an accident. This is not football or basketball. This is a war. This is a fight. And my intentionality of traveling across the country, talking to Black business people about redoing their Black business districts. Me and the mayor, I know Dr. Ava, and I know you're dedicated, Sister Donna, and all of us who are dedicated to making our community, we are intentional. That's the reason why Mr. Bill Allen named the street in the new Black Wall Street Market, Madam C.J. Walker, A.G. Gaston, Bourbon Street, Art Avenue. It has to be intentionally Black what we're doing so that we can reclaim our own culture. We gotta bring the Whiting Fish program back, and it's at the front of my mind now, and by God's grace, we're going to bring it back to Black America. We're planning on setting up warehousing where we can have refrigerated freezer to put our stuff at and start shipping it. We gotta mature as men and women and start really working our program, Sister Donna. And I know we can do it. It's time to do it. And I believe God is with us to do it.
And Mayor Larry, if you could bring us your closing words, if you please.
You know, when you have vision, as Brother Lewis does, as I do, as others do, it gives you nightmares because we know what's going to happen in the future. Just as clear as we sit here, we know what's going to happen. And I'm gonna give you my crystal ball version of it. We started with of course, the intentionality of the city of Stonecrest is created. It's Black prowess for small business and growth and maturity. We'll move from the new Black Wall Street Market, the way Mr. Allen and I have it set up. They'll go from the new Black Wall Street Village. That's 16-story hotel, amphitheater, live, work, play, prowess, the biggest thing that you'll ever see, ever. $700 million bond that we created for it to make it happen. It'll be one of those Harlem Renaissance opportunities where people will say, unbelievable. You know, the staple of the world is right here in Stonecrest, Georgia, with some Black guy from Macon, Georgia, that helped usher people in with his loud talking and deliberateness.
Blackity black.
Yeah,
Blackity black.
with his blackity black. That's gonna stick with me forever, which is good. The eventuality of it, Sister Donna, Sister Ava, is that I will pay a heavy toll for this. As long as you all remember, you know, the crazy guy from Stonecrest, the mayor that y'all met, you know, I tried to do the best I could with the gifts that God gave me. But my time is finite here because something's going to happen to me. And that's the downside of vision. But I want to help you all and help us all as much as I can, you know, while I'm able to do so. And I'm really, really encouraged about the future, and I'm really encouraged about the future of Black people. And as you had mentioned earlier, Sister Donna, not that we're prejudiced, Not that we're, you know, I'm just pro-Black. I don't know how else to say it. Is the you know, programs that I mentioned before. You know, I stand next to my white buddies just like I do anybody. But, you know, I prefer Black. Black wife, Black kids, Black elementary school, Black high school, Black college, Clark Atlanta University, you know, Black city, Black town, Black man.
That's right.
And I can stand in that truth and be proud of it. We have to teach others to be the same. And but you know, Sister Donna, we're the only culture that got drug over here, so we're behind. Others came willingly. We got stripped of everything when we left our motherland, and in 400 years we just hadn't caught up yet. Right. But we're gonna have to make them catch up. That's right. Is where we are. So that's my story, and Brother Lewis, you can watch my book come out. Carry your own water. I'm gonna have 2 buckets on the front cover of a book, carrying my own water. The Path to Cityhood.
That's right.
I was going to ask if you had a book coming out.
That's where it's headed, Sister Ava. That's where it's headed.
For real. This is amazing.
Yeah, you're going down in history, Mayor Larry. We're here to back you and support you, but you are absolutely going down in history, a name as part of this, but we're all links in the chain. And we're all here for a finite period of time. And God wants to know what we're doing with our time. Absolutely. And your work you're laying are bearing witness to what you're doing for your, and I'm actually trying not to get emotional. I'm just feeling overwhelmed right now, but God is bearing witness to what you are doing, brother. With your time on this earth, not everybody can handle the weight of being the first.
That's right.
It is a heavy burden, just as our student minister Ava can bear witness to, as she was the first woman to head a mosque in Islam, period. That's right. In the whole Islamic world. She knows that weight. So what you're doing is meant for you. And then we are beneficiaries of walking through that door. So I personally cannot thank God enough for the sacrifice that you have made to get to this point and to move further in that which I know you're instilling in others and in partnership with Brother Lewis and the works that you're doing and everybody that we feature here. But you have been one of the highlights for me.
Thank you.
To see this in action. And so before I just kind of break all the way down here, I'm going to bring in Brother Cartier, who will make his closing remarks, and we'll close with some few brief announcements. But I thank you, and I thank Dr. Ava for giving us this platform to highlight people such as your work. And we need this spread, and we need some intentional movement to Stonecrest. We're putting it out there. You know, Exodus to Stonecrest. And we did have a comment in Project Step on the YouTube, a brother in Ohio. He was like, please bring your program to Ohio. He's beckoning you. But I turn it over to you, Brother Cartier, for your closing remarks.
I want to say praise be to Allah. And brother, you're very inspirational. Brother Mayor Larry, Brother Lewis, very inspirational. I thank Allah for men like you. With vision and then having the wherewithal to take that vision to the groundwork and show some of us that are a little younger behind you, me at 27, some of the brothers that's on the call that are in their early 20s, early teens. I just think about some of these brothers out here on the street that I encounter. I said, man, if they have brothers like this as mentors over them, while they were young boys, man, the nation will know their name. The United States will know their name.
That's right.
And I thank Allah for you all. Brother Mayor, I look forward to really deeply considering making my move down to Stonecrest. We got to get you a police department, man, that complements the beauty of what you're building.
Right.
Ready to defend it. So, you know, any way I can help in that endeavor, I'm here. I love you. I love you both.
Man, thank you, brother.
Nothing more.
Thank you so much. So we have 1 minute in closing. We're just going to share 3 brief announcements. I saw your hand raised, Dr. Ava. I didn't know if it was still up or if you had something to say. I didn't want to be
Oh, no,
remiss.
ma'am, that's from before.
Okay. So we're going to close out with just 3 brief announcements. We thank everybody for joining us this evening. Please, the replay is going to be available on our YouTube link, and it's also in the chat room, the link. So please spread this far and wide. This is a program worth sharing. I'm sure you will agree that everybody needs to see this and support this. So just to go into announcements, we'd like you first visit. We have a website. www.projectseparation.com. You can watch tonight's program on there, as well as see some of the initiatives that's going on. Projectseparation.com. We're here because of the platform Elevated Places Network. I'm sorry, am I moving it? But we invite you to visit www.ministerava.com. That is Minister Ava's website. There's books, there's speaking, that you can register for the master classes. There's so much in here. Please visit ministerava.com, which is the founding of the Elevated Places Network. And lastly, this is a women's only announcement, but this is Part 6, the final chapter of the master class, Weapons of Self-Destruction, Within Sight and Reach and the Science of Winning. And this one is going to include special guests. So you can register at www.ministerava.com. You do not want to miss this one. We're talking about changing mindsets. That's what's happening in this class, and it's empowering women because we have to work together. And as we are taught, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And so with that, we thank everybody for their participation in this wonderful program this evening, and we'll bring on our brother Zuri Muhammad to close us out in prayer. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, and Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we serve, and thine aid do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path of those upon whom thy wrath has been brought down, nor of those who go astray after they've heard thy true teachings. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Thank you, salam, sir.
That was incredible. Good show.